Hi guys, my name is Abby and welcome back to a new video. So for today's video, we are going to try to make a summer dress. I do have an extensive collection of clothes, but I feel like I don't have that very many dresses. I feel like I'm a lot pickier when it comes to dresses, so usually when I go to the store, I don't really buy as much dresses as I do like skirts or tops. So that's why I'm gonna make one. Yep. I really like these kinds of styles of dresses, but I'm always like iffy about buying them because I feel like I'm just shaped awkwardly. Like my waist, the hip to height ratio just doesn't add up to normal sizes, so it never ends up fitting me right. So if I do buy a dress, I end up having to alter it anyway, so I thought, why not just make my own? I can like sew or whatever. So this is the sketch I made. Like everything else I make, it will probably end up not looking like this, but this would be the dream if it could just, drag it out. Yeah, so I have a little slit in it as like temperature control, since it is long, but the fabric that I have is pretty lightweight, so, it's not like I'm gonna be sweating in it anyway. As usual, the puff sleeve, since that's like the only sleeve I can do right, also, helps to hide the man shoulders, so the puff sleeve. I did want to try to make the back open with like ties. That's the part I'm not sure how that's gonna work out. That's the iffiest part. I might have to make it a closed back, but the ultimate goal would to have it be like a cute little open back with ties. Once again, just because it's gonna be hot out, why not make it cool? So this is the goal. And I already bought fabric, since every time I go to Hobby Lobby I end up buying like 12 more yards of fabric than I need to be. So there's these two. I don't know if I want to make two or just use one, the other. Maybe make two but in different styles. It's very iffy right now. But this is the first one. I think this is my favorite one that I have. I think that's a blue jay. I'm not a bird expert, but... And it has flowers. I think this one's really pretty, definitely. And that's actually the first one I got. I had the idea to make a summer dress, but then I saw this one, and oh my god, I feel like this one would also look really pretty as like a cute little summer dress. They both might be just like a bit see-through, which will also be a problem because then I have to do lining, but then I want to make sure it's not too thick that I sweat. So it's definitely going to require a lot of brain cells. And since I'm no longer in school, hopefully I have some to give. And also, since I quit my abusive, toxic job, now I can get back into sewing and being happy. So yeah, it's all ups from here. So yeah, hopefully this is another up and it turns out well and it doesn't give me another reason to cry. Happy thoughts. Happy thoughts. So let's just jump right into it, and hopefully this won't take me 3 months like everything else.
After doing my usual rough sketch of measurements, I laid out the fabric and began working on the top part. To make the Milkmaid like style top, I cut out 2 rectangles that were longer than my bust, since I knew I would end up gathering them in the end. Next, I cut out the waistband part, keeping in mind that since it would be backless, that it didn't need to be as long, and then I sewed those 3 parts together and then did it again to make the lining piece. Then I made the ties for the bust, so I cut out long strips of fabric and folded them in to hide the raw edge and then just sewed them down. I also forgot to mention that my motivation to make this dress was prompted by me having a severe allergic reaction and getting a few days off of work, so if the camera seems messed up, just forgive me. And then going back to the rectangles, I folded in the sides to hem them, and then folded down the top edge to make a channel for the tie to run through. And then I put the tie in the channel and sewed it down in the corner to secure it. I had never made this style of top before, nor did I own one, so I was just going based off of the pictures I had seen online and working off of that. Next, I sewed the raw edge of the rectangle bust pieces to the waist part, lightly gathering them to fit, and then put the lining waist part behind it to like cover the raw edges, so that way like when I sewed it and folded it down, it would just be a nice clean finish. Moving on to the skirt, I cut out like this long rectangle trapezoid kind of shape like pieces to have it fit my waist but then flow out, so that way it wouldn't have to be like the gathered kind of skirt. And then so I sewed it and then serged the pieces together, leaving one of the seams not fully sewn so I could have that slit, and then I folded down the edges of the slit for a clean look. Then with the skirt all sewn together, I connected it to the top using the waistband pieces to hide the raw edge of the skirt. Then I moved on to the sleeves and did my usual puff sleeve method, making sure to cut it larger than my measurements since I was going to gather it. And then I also cut out a small rectangle to use as a cuff at the bottom of the sleeve, making sure that it was wide enough to fit around my arm. And then I sergeed the raw edges, connected the sides, and gathered the bottom of the sleeves to fit into the cuff. After carefully folding in the raw edges on the cuff, I sandwiched in the raw edges of the bottom of the sleeve inside it and then sewed down the top and bottom of the cuff. I folded down the top edge of the sleeve to create a channel for the elastic and then inserted it in. After connecting the sleeves to the bodice, I sewed the zipper on the back of the skirt and then did the same method I did for the top where I cut out 4 strips for the back ties and sewed them down. I sewed the 4 strips onto the back, 2 on each side, and then sewed down the sides of the bodice and top edge of the back of the skirt. And then lastly, I hemmed the bottom of the skirt. And then I thought I was done, but after trying it on, I realized that the back part of the skirt was too loose, so I added in some elastic on the skirt to help it fit better. And now the dress was complete, but I really wanted to make a matching hairpiece, so I had an impulse 3 a.m. decision to cut out these 4 rectangles and sew them together, and then cutting out a long tube, folding that in half, and sewing it together as well. I cut out a strip of elastic and inserted it into the tube and sewed the ends together, creating sort of like a hair tie, and then I closed up the sides and hand sewed it using the ladder stitch so that the thread would not be visible. Then, following as I did earlier for the ties, I made another small one and sewed it down, and then I hand gathered the top of the rectangles and lightly sewed them together to have them kind of like a basting stitch in a way. And then I connected them to the scrunchie using the tie to cover up the raw edges and stitching. And then with this, everything was complete.